Good afternoon. Welcome to Kenya News Update today. I'm your host, and we're diving deep into a story that could reshape Kenya's economic landscape for the next decade. The Kenya Tourism Board, in partnership with the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, has just unveiled its ambitious 2026 to 2030 strategic blueprint. This five-year plan aims to catapult Kenya into the top tier of global tourism destinations. But with a price tag of 120 billion shillings and a target of attracting 5.5 million international visitors by 2030, the question on everyone's mind is, can this blueprint deliver on its promises, or is it another expensive vision document destined for the shelf? We'll be examining the plan from all angles, speaking with proponents, critics, and industry insiders to give you the complete picture. First, let's understand the context. Kenya's tourism sector has been on a roller coaster. In 2024, the country welcomed 2.1 million international visitors, generating 352 billion shillings in revenue. That was a strong recovery from the pandemic lows. However, 2025 saw a slight dip to 1.95 million visitors, with revenue falling to 333 billion shillings. This volatility, coupled with fierce competition from neighbors like Tanzania, Rwanda, and Uganda, has exposed the need for a more resilient and forward-looking strategy. The new blueprint, officially titled Destination Kenya 2030, A New Horizon, was launched on February 13, 2026 at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. The event was presided over by Tourism Cabinet Secretary Penina Malonza and KTB CEO John Church. The plan is built on four strategic pillars: market diversification, product development, digital transformation, and sustainability. Its headline goal is to increase tourism's contribution to GDP from the current 8.8% to 15% by the year 2030. That's a massive leap. To achieve this, the plan outlines specific numeric targets. By 2027, they aim to grow visitor numbers to 2.8 million. By 2028, that target jumps to 3.5 million. The 2029 goal is 4.3 million, culminating in the 5.5 million target for 2030. Concurrently, they project revenue to hit 500 billion shillings by 2027 and ultimately reach 1.2 trillion shillings by 2030. Let's break down the first pillar, market diversification. Currently, over 65% of Kenya's tourists come from just five traditional source markets: the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, and China. The blueprint seeks to reduce this dependency to below 50% by aggressively targeting 15 new and emerging markets. These include India, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, South Korea, Australia, and several African nations like Nigeria, Ghana, and South Africa. The strategy allocates 25 billion shillings over 5 years for marketing campaigns, trade fair participation, and familiarization trips for foreign tour operators. Proponents argue this is essential for risk mitigation. If one market suffers an economic downturn, others can cushion the blow. However, critics question the allocation. Is 25 billion shillings enough to make a meaningful impact in 15 different countries, each with unique cultural and travel preferences? Some analysts suggest a more focused approach on 3 to 4 high-potential markets might yield better returns. Next, product development. This is perhaps the most tangible pillar for the average Kenyan. The plan acknowledges that the classic beach and safari package, while iconic, is no longer sufficient. The goal is to develop at least 50 new tourism products across the country's 47 counties. This includes niche segments like cultural tourism in Western Kenya, adventure tourism in the Rift Valley, coastal and marine tourism beyond Diani, and conference tourism in secondary cities like Kisumu and Nakuru. A flagship project is the proposed Heritage Corridor, linking 120 historical sites from Lamu to Lake Victoria. The government has committed 40 billion shillings in public funding, hoping to leverage an additional 60 billion shillings from private investors. This pillar also includes upgrading 15 key airports and airstrips, including Kisumu, Malindi, and Wilson, to improve domestic connectivity. The argument here is about spreading economic benefits. Tourism revenue is heavily concentrated in Nairobi, Mombasa, and a few wildlife conservancies. Developing products nationwide could create jobs in regions with high unemployment. But the challenge is execution. Past county-level tourism initiatives have often been hampered by poor coordination, corruption, and a lack of technical expertise. Can the national government effectively partner with 47 county governments to deliver 50 quality products on schedule? Our third pillar is digital transformation. In an era where 80% of travel planning happens online, Kenya's digital tourism footprint is considered underdeveloped. The blueprint allocates 15 billion shillings to create a unified national tourism digital platform. This Visit Kenya portal would be a one-stop shop for booking flights, hotels, safari packages, and local experiences. It would integrate real-time data on park occupancy, weather, and cultural events. Furthermore, the plan includes training for 5,000 tourism SMEs in digital marketing and e-commerce. The vision is to have 70% of all tourism bookings happen through this platform or verified local partners by 2030. Supporters see this as a game changer for small businesses, allowing a Maasai beadwork seller in Kajiado or a homestay owner in Kakamega to reach a global audience directly. Skeptics, however, point to the government's track record with large IT projects. They worry about cost overruns, cybersecurity vulnerabilities, and the potential for the platform to become a bureaucratic monopoly that stifles innovation from private tech companies. The final pillar is sustainability. This is no longer just a buzzword, it's a market demand. Surveys show that 68% of international travelers prefer destinations with strong environmental and social credentials. The blueprint commits to certifying 300 tourism facilities with the Eco-Tourism Kenya label by 2030. It also aims to ensure that 35% of tourism revenue directly benefits local communities living around conservation areas, up from an estimated 18% today. A controversial but bold target is to achieve carbon-neutral status for the entire tourism value chain by 2040. This would involve major investments in renewable energy for lodges, electric vehicle fleets for game drives, and large-scale reforestation projects. Environmentalists applaud the ambition, but question the feasibility and monitoring mechanisms. They cite past failures, like the plastic bag ban that saw limited enforcement in tourist areas. Now, let's talk money. The total estimated cost of this 5-year plan is a staggering 120 billion shillings. The funding mix is proposed as follows: 45 billion shillings from the national government, 30 billion shillings from development partners like the World Bank and the African Development Bank, 25 billion shillings from the private sector, and 20 billion shillings from county governments. This heavy reliance on external and private funding is a major point of debate. Proponents like KTBC EO John Cheer argue it shows confidence and shared responsibility. This is not a government plan, he said at the launch, it's a national compact. The 120 billion shilling investment is not an expense, it's a seed that will grow a 1.2 trillion shilling harvest by 2030, funding our schools, hospitals, and infrastructure. They point to successful models in Rwanda and Costa Rica, where public-private partnerships transformed their tourism sectors. The opposition and some economic analysts are far less optimistic. Dr. Joy Mboya, an economist at the University of Nairobi, raises red flags. The arithmetic is concerning, she notes. The government portion, 45 billion shillings, averages 9 billion shillings per year. Last year's entire tourism development budget was 4.5 billion shillings. Doubling it is a significant ask in a tight fiscal environment. More worrying is the 30 billion shillings from development partners. That's contingent on complex loan agreements and policy conditions that may not align with our national interests. And the 25 billion shillings from the private sector? That's a hope, not a guarantee. Investors will wait to see tangible progress before committing shillings. The political dimension adds another layer. With President William Ruto's administration emphasizing economic transformation, this blueprint is seen as a cornerstone of his legacy. Success would be a powerful re-election tool in 2027. Failure, however, could be a major liability. The plan has also sparked debate about priorities. Some argue that with pressing needs in agriculture, healthcare, and education, allocating 45 billion shillings of public funds to tourism is a misstep. Others counter that tourism is one of the few sectors where Kenya has a clear global comparative advantage, and strategic investment here can generate the foreign exchange needed to fund other social programs. Let's look at the human resource challenge. The plan estimates a need for 120,000 new skilled personnel in the tourism sector by 2030, from chefs and tour guides to digital marketers and conservation managers. This requires a massive training initiative. The blueprint proposes establishing 5 regional tourism academies and revamping curricula in 50 technical institutions. But industry veterans like Sheila Mwaniagha, who runs a tour company in Nairobi, are skeptical. We've had training promises before, she says. The issue is quality and retention. We train a brilliant guide, and they move to Dubai for a hotel job because the pay and conditions are better. Unless this plan addresses the fundamental issues of wages, career progression, and dignity in tourism work, we will just be training people for other countries' benefit. So, what's the verdict? Is the 2026 to 2030 tourism blueprint a visionary roadmap or a costly fantasy? The truth likely lies in the middle. The diagnosis of Kenya's tourism challenges is accurate: over-reliance on traditional markets, underexploited products, a digital gap, and sustainability pressures. The proposed solutions are conceptually sound and align with global trends. The sheer scale and ambition, however, are where doubts creep in. The 120 billion shilling funding model appears fragile. The 5.5 million visitor target is extremely aggressive, requiring an average annual growth rate of over 18%, which is unprecedented in Kenya's history. The success of this plan will hinge not on its elegant PowerPoint slides, but on ruthless execution, robust public-private governance, and adaptive management. It will require the Kenya Tourism Board to evolve from a marketing agency into a powerful project implementation unit. It will need county governors to see tourism as a long-term economic engine, not a short-term publicity opportunity. Most importantly, it will demand that the benefits, jobs, business opportunities, infrastructure are felt by ordinary Kenyans. If it becomes another plan where the profits are privatized and the costs are socialized, it will fail and fail expensively. As Kenya stands at this new horizon, the world is watching. The global tourism pie is growing, but so is the competition. Kenya's natural and cultural endowment is its ticket to the table. This blueprint is an attempt to secure not just a seat, but a place at the head. The next 5 years will tell if this vision can be translated into reality. For Kenya News Update today, this has been a deep dive into the future of Kenyan tourism. We want to hear from you. Do you believe this plan can work? What role should your community play? Share your thoughts in the comments. For more in-depth analysis and daily news from across the country, remember to subscribe to Kenya News Update today.